I used to think that charging less would get you more clients, and it did, but it totally burned me out, and I'm never doing that again. Hey, I'm Yao. I'm a logo and brand designer, and in today's video, I'm going to be real about numbers, about what I'm charging now and what I used to charge. Full transparency. Let's go. Now, when it comes to pricing, I've made a lot of mistakes in the past, like a lot. Now, one of them being is pricing based on fear. Fear that I'm too expensive, fear that I'm not just good enough, fear that I just feel like I'm not a good logo designer, fear that I'm gonna be missing out. Now, I wasn't pricing based on value, I was pricing based on fear. And that's one of the worst things that you can do. I had to really take a deep look into myself as a designer and really tell myself that, listen, I am a good designer, that I am providing value. And then that shift in my mind started to change when I started to price, not based on fear, but based on the value that I am providing to my clients. Now, the second mistake that I used to make was starting way too low. Now, early on in my career, I used to charge anywhere between 100 to 200 pounds for a logo, right? Looking back at it, ridiculous. I didn't really know about logo pricing. I didn't know what the industry was charging. I didn't know my worth, and I didn't know my value. But when I started to take a deep dive and do my research, looking at other designers, looking at the market, and also working as a graphic designer in studios, really opened my mind to say, okay, so this is what, one, I should be charging, and two, like, I should never do 100, 200 pounds for a logo. Looking back at it now, that was absolutely criminal. So guys, don't ever start at 100 to 200 pounds for a logo. That's criminal. You really got to do your market research and understand the market, understand how much, what the industry is charging, what the industry prices. And so, yeah. And one thing you have to realize that the cheaper you are, the more you'll be treated like you're cheap. Like, you're going to receive the most headache from your cheapest clients. Clients that are looking to pay 10 to 15K are going to give you the less hassle. Deposit paid straight away. Then they're going to, how's it going? How's it going? They're not going to do that. These cheap clients are going to give you headache. So stay away from them. You know what I mean? Now, the third mistake that I used to make was charging based on time and not on transformation and value. I used to think that the longer I take on the logo, the more I should charge for it. But that's completely wrong, because I've spent, let's say, 15, 20 years in logo design that enables me to design a logo within an hour, or maybe within a 2-week period. Really does depend. But that 15, 20 years is what allowed me to execute that logo in a quicker time, and I can't be penalized for just being good at my job. And so you can't charge based on how long it will take you, but you got to charge it based on the value. That word value, I'm going to use a lot in this video. You got to charge it based on the value and what are the deliverables of the project and what are the goals of the project, and that's what you should be charging on. You know what I mean? Now, when I started to learn about these things, that's where I started to raise my prices from the 1,000 to 3,000 range. So at this point in my career around, this is where I was charging for logos, or 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 maximum for a logo. I was still charging based on fear. I had a little bit of fear left, not too much, but that was the range that I was charging. And this was around anywhere between, let's say, 2-3 years ago, like I was charging around this price. And so once I started to make that shift and not charging based on how long it would take me, but charging based on value and the transformation that I'm doing for the clients, that's when the mindset started to really shift. Now, the fourth mistake that I used to make was not increasing my prices fast enough. And honestly, man, I saw a video by Crystal, and he says that every 3 years you should be increasing your prices. And when I saw that video, it totally shifted my mindset on pricing, realizing that my skills are improving, but my prices are not. Because every project you take on, right, you're increasing your skills, what you should be. You're improving your processes. You're improving how you did that logo. You're looking back and reflect and say, wow, I should have done this totally different. And so as your skills are improving, you're executing projects a lot better, but you're not increasing your prices to match that growth. And so that's where I had to say, okay, every couple of yeses, I increase my prices. So every 3 to 4 yeses, you should be increasing your prices. Because if you get in yeses so quickly, if you send that proposal off to the client and they said, yes, like this, hold up, that was a bit too quick. Hey, let me increase the prices. You understand? That's my thinking. If a client says yes too quickly, I'm like, I should have increased the price. But that's always what happens. But yeah, please make sure you increase your prices, as the rate of your growth. Because as you're growing, your prices should grow with you. You know what I mean? So knowing that, when I started to increase my prices and my rate of growth, that's where I started to increase from 1,000 to like around 4,000, 3,000, 4,000 for a logo. I started, what was my maximum became my minimum. So my maximum was around £3,000 for branding. That's that's my minimum. That's where I'm starting the branding off. And so that's where I started to increase my prices every 3 years. You know what I mean? Now, the fifth mistake that I made when it comes to pricing was saying yes to everything. My goodness, this is going to kill you. Not all money is good money. You know that saying. You can't say yes to everything. Sometimes you got to say no. Because even if the project seems good in terms of value, but you may be overloaded with other projects. Maybe the project doesn't align with your brand, and so no, you can't say yes to everything. I remember a time where I was saying yes to every single project that came. Because why? I needed the money, or I wanted the money. And so I had to take a deep dive and say, hey, hold up. I got to learn to filter the projects that I really want to work on, or filter to what projects that really excite me, or even filter to, maybe this is not a good fit for my brand, and it's okay. Not all money is good money. Don't say yes to everything, especially when you're starting out and you're charging, let's say, you're charging low for your logos. You want to take as many projects on as possible. No, the goal is to have not as many projects, but have good projects that you can really dedicate your time to. Because what happens is that when you have so many projects on, your time is not evenly distributed to the projects, and so you're not providing the same value and the same your mental capacity can only hold so many projects at once in your mind. And so what happens is that you're not giving the same effort to each project. So not only about being burnt out, but also about the value that you're providing to each project is never going to be the same. And so that's how you have to slowly, decrease the amount of projects you have. Not because of being burnt out, that's a good reason, but also because you want to make sure that every project you deliver is exceptional, that you gave your heart and your soul to. But you can't do that when you have like 5, 6 projects, 8 projects, and you just literally, your mind is literally gone and you have no more creative juices flowing. So yeah, don't say yes to every project because 1, you're going to be burnt out, and 2, also so that you can provide the best design service as possible in every single project you work on. You know what I mean? Now, mistake 6 was not charging for scope creep. My goodness, I learned this the hard way. When at the start of the project, the deliverables are not really clear. Now when the clients ask for certain things and you've not charged for those items or deliverables that are outside of the scope, that's when you realize that the scope starts to shift and evolve and not being, let's say, professional, being too lenient and saying yes to extra added things that the client needs that are outside of the scope. So yes, you want to be nice, but at the end of the day, again, it's about managing your time efficiently so you can provide the best service. And also basically not doing free work. You know what I mean? So make sure that you are charging for scope creeps. These are things that are outside of the deliverables, that are outside of the scope, so that whenever a client comes with a, let's say, a suggestion and say, hey, can we work on this? You say, okay, I would love to, just to let you know this is outside of the scope, but I can add it into to the deliverables and charge that at the end of the project. So make sure you handle this very professionally. Not saying you're not going to do it. You're not, but you're saying, oh, hey, I would love to do that, just to let you know this is outside of the scope, but we can definitely work on that. And boom. Please don't be doing free work because you're going to burn yourself out. I do understand that there are times that you are going to be, doing free work. It does happen. But make sure you are charging for these scope creeps, okay? Cool. Now, those were some of the mistakes that I used to make. I made them so that you don't have to anymore, and I hope those helped. Now, I think that my shift for me happened when I charged $15,000 for a project. And that totally changed my psychology on pricing, where I'm like, okay, if this client is willing to pay for this, that means there are others that are willing to pay for this. And it made me say, wow, so this is the value that I'm providing to a business. that means there are others that are also willing to pay for this. And so it's really looking about the value that you're providing. You have to really deep and understand that, what's the value of the Gucci logo or Louis Vuitton logo. Its price is worth millions, billions. Why? To understand, so branding is such a valuable part of a business, and that's what even allows a brand to position themselves within a market. And so you're providing such a valuable work to a business. So really understanding that, and that experience that I had with that project really shifted my psychology. You can check it on my previous video. You can take a look at that, and I broke down the whole project so you can really see how the project went. But that project really shifted my psychology. And also what I saw is that how you see yourself is how you price your services, right? If you see yourself as valuable, if you see yourself as a commodity, as a high commodity, is that a word? If you see yourself as something valuable, your pricing is gonna reflect that. But sometimes we have inner conflict within ourselves where we feel like we're not good enough, or we feel like we're not good enough as somebody else. Or maybe you feel like you're not good enough as me or other designers. I'm not as good as them. And that inner conflict is what makes us devalue ourselves. And so we don't price to our potential because of our inner value. But when you start to see the value that we are providing, that's when we say, so hold up a minute, I should be charging a lot more. And so it starts with looking at our inner value and looking at how we see ourselves and telling ourselves, yes, I am valuable, that I am worth it. And that's what I had to do for myself. And when I did that, then I started to increase my prices. Now, projects may start at 5K, 10K, 15K. It really does depend on the scope and the deliverables of the project and the value that I'm providing to that business. And so it really does shift. But I'm no longer charging £100 for a logo anymore, or £1,000 for a logo, completely different now. But it all starts with how you see yourself. Because when you value yourself, your pricing will always reflect that. So I hope that really helped, guys. As everyone always says, like and follow for more. Comment down below any other topic that you want me to discuss, anything that you want me to go through. I'm here to help you guys as much as possible. And don't forget, guys, leave your mark. Stay creative. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.